Hello everybody, Loader for Life here, bringing guys a brand new deck profile. Today we have one formally requested to me by a subscriber of mine, Samuel Dion. I really hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, dude. You really helped me out quite a bit doing this, and I really hope this deck profile lives up to your expectations and what you wanted, and I hope the rest of you all enjoy it as well. This is something that I've been working on for a good week now, and I'm pretty proud of it. I was already kind of working on a 6 tribe deck before, because I hate my original one that I made years ago. At least I feel like it was years ago. It feels like it for sure. And so I was working on one with Bear Beyond, but Samuel messaged me offering to help me out with with my issue that I mentioned in the previous video. And the only thing he wanted in response get back was a deck profile featuring the music Jig of Reinforcement. This is a 1 cost music that says target creature gains 10 energy if it is an overworlder, Fire 5 if it's an underworlder, 20 to all disciplines if it's a Danian, and Invisibility Strike 10 if it's a Mepedian. So the idea with this, as well as also the other stipulations he put on me, mostly that I have to have 1 of every tribe, including tribeless, which does not count as a tribe, I have learned, which is very, very annoying, but oh well. So I just had to make sure I had that, and also 1 creature of every tribe in this deck, and that's the whole idea with it. So I wanted to make it the best I can for him. I had to ditch Barif for Tangif, because as much as I love Barif, it was the first legendary card I ever saw. Tangif is objectively the best. So I don't want to hold off too long. Let's go ahead and get on with the deck profile. First and foremost, starting with the star of the deck, Tangif Toborn Overworld General. Mine has pretty good stats all around, having, I believe, his max energy of 65. He has fire and water, and he's a legendary creature, which means you can only play 1 legendary card in the deck, if you guys didn't know, which is a very interesting rule stipulation. I'm pretty sure they made just so you can't play all 4 generals in the deck, but oh well. He has Defender, which is really good and ties into his other effects, because during your opponent's turn, Tangif gets Fire 5 if you have an Underworlder, Disarm if you have a Mepedian, which I actually got Disarm wrong in my Mepedian strike deck recently. I thought it just prevented the battle gear from flipping over. I heard that like forever ago that that's what it does, but I was shuffling through my cards looking for bulk and stuff, and I found a card that tells me, oh no, Disarm just straight up negates the card effect. I really need to refresh my brain on the rule book eventually. And then he also gets Elemental Proof, all elements, 5 if you have a Danian. So and basically, the whole idea with Tangif is that you are attacking with your other creatures, and then you're saving them from getting beaten up during your opponent's turn. So, oh hey, your opponent tries to attack your other guy. Okay, Tangif jumps in, he has Fire 5, Disarm, and gains a crap ton of energy if you have a Danian. It's really, really good. He's just able to really pile on the damage, and also, well, take a lot of damage because of how much energy he gets. Now, for the battle gear I gave him, I decided to go with the Riverland Star. This is a battle gear I've been wanting to use for like ever, because I really like the idea of it. It gives your creature 15 courage, which is okay. It's not like anything super relevant. But the bigger thing is that if the equipped creature is an overworlder and does water damage, they get healed by 5 energy, which is really, really, really handy, because, oh hey, I just keep on piling on at 5 energy. You know, it doesn't seem like much at first, but it really does help out quite a bit as the battle prolongs. So yeah, Tangif is able to just keep on a-tanking. Next to him on the left, I have Kepian, the Danian Lieutenant. Now, Kepian is a really interesting Danian. He's got 45 energy and he has water. He's got very, very average stats all around. Mine has 40 in courage and then 50 in everything else, which is hilarious. I really wish I had just 50 in everything, because that would be just hilarious. But I looked around, I don't have any other Kepians that have 50 in everything. But that kind of ties into his effect, where Kepian gains 10 energy and 10 to all disciplines for each different tribe you have. Now, again, tribeless does not count as a tribe, so regardless if you're playing Ursus, Chromax, Smilden, Proboscar, whoever, Kepian will not be gaining any energy from it. So that means as a max, he will gain 50, at least until we get the Frozen, and then they count as a 6 tribe, so then you can have an actual 6 tribe deck, and then, oh hey, he'll gain 60, which is pretty good. Now, 50 itself is really good. That puts my Kepian at 95 energy and 100 speed, 100 wisdom, 100 power, and 90 courage. He's going to be winning those stat checks and stat challenges pretty much all around. And he's got water innately, which is really good. And also to tie in with everything else, I gave him the Sun Chariot of Ken Sep so that he has fire. That literally is all that this does. It gives him fire. And the big thing is that I wanted to try and do a fire-water theme with this because that's what Tangif has, so I tried to tie that in with everybody else. Now, this is where we get to something that is a bit different because Mepedians don't have much for water or fire attacks or creatures that use it. So I got Epitrine up front on the right. Now, Epitrine is a really interesting Mepedian because he's got fire. He's one of the few ones that do, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now, I'm playing the Orchis Undin to give him water as well, so that now my 3 frontliners have fire and water, and I'm all good. Hey, he's got pretty average stats all around too, with pretty weak power, but hey, he's got high courage and pretty high speed because, well, he's a Mepedian. He's got fire and earth. The earth does come in handy with a few attacks from time to time, but for the most part, that's all that really matters is the fact that he has fire and a crap ton of energy. I think mine has max, which is 65. He's also got a music counter, not that that's going to really be relevant too much other than for a few situations here and there. Something else that's really nice about him and what I ended up choosing him over Otini, because it was either going to be him or Otini. Otini is another Mepedian who's got water innately as well as also earth, and he does water 5. But Otini does not have very great stats. Mine at least, all the ones I've seen have like 50 energy, give or take, and I wanted something a bit beefier, so Epitrine. And then also on top of that, I find Epitrine's effect to be just a bit better. He doesn't take any damage from music. Damage which will be dealt to him is reduced to 0, which is really, really good, so you don't have to worry about burn. And that's going to tie in with another guy as well. So this deck also has a bit of an anti-burn thing going on, and the fact that 2 of our creatures don't have to worry about it. So Epitrine with the Orchis Undine is really handy for just, you know, being able to handle fire and water and everything, being a Mepedian. Next up, we got Chromax in the middle. It was it was difficult to choose between Chromax and Ursus. I'm not gonna lie. Personally, I would have preferred Ursus, but I feel like Chromax just kind of beats him out in this situation by a few things. For one thing, while yes, Ursus has better stats overall, especially with his energy capping out at 85, whereas Chromax caps out at 75. Chromax wins out in the fact that he's got water and earth innately. Ursus does not have water, so I'd have to find some way to give him water on top of also getting him fire. And also, Ursus has no effect, but he's got 3 music counters. But I also don't really care about my music counters because I got a fluid morpher here, so I don't really need more music counters other than maybe just every now and then, and in certain situations. So at the end of the day, I ended up thinking, okay, Chromax is just going to be the better one of the 2 for the most part. He takes no damage from music, and his stats cannot be raised or lowered due to music. So you don't need to worry about music killing him or anything for the most part. And to make him even harder to kill, I gave him the Drill Dozer customized rig. This basically gives him 10 energy, and then since he has Earth, he gets 10 more energy, putting him at a massive 95 energy, making him quite a beefy tank. So that's pretty handy as well. Now, the Underworlder in this deck was another really hard decision because there's not many Underworlders that have water. There's plenty that have fire, but there's just not many that have water. And so, looking at my options, I wanted to do something that I've always wanted to play this card, and so looking at my options and how this really helps out and what he does, I thought, okay, this is going to be really good. Felfour, the original one that's pretending to be an Underworlder. So Felfour He's got 1 music counter, he's got decent stats all around, 50 energy, which is pretty good, and he's got innately water. Obviously, I mean, he's a Marillion pretending to be an underworlder, kind of goes with the thing. But what's really interesting and something I really like about him is his effect, where at the beginning of your action step, you may move target creature to an God, the wording on here. Target creature to an open space on the battle board adjacent to that creature. So he basically lets you move an extra creature. On top of that, it can be one of your opponent's creatures. So if like one of your creatures is just too far away to be able to get to your opponent's stuff that you want to be able to, attack, you can use Fell Force effect to move them. You're basically getting an extra move for your creature once a turn, and that can be anybody. Oh, hey, I want to be able to get my Tangif closer to somebody to be able to protect them during my opponent's turn. Cool, I can do that, and now I can move them one more space to be able to do that, and also be able to, drag my opponent's creatures closer to me so I don't have to move as much. That is a really interesting idea, and I really, really like it because, like, for instance, let's say I'm going second, and my opponent attacks something, I block with Tangif, Tangif kills the opponent's creature, and now they got an open space on their battle board. Well, unless they have like something in between their magicians and stuff, I can drag them closer. Oh, hey, my opponent's got a conjure in the middle row. Oh, and they just, my Tangif just killed somebody on their team. Okay, I'm gonna move the conjure up to the front row so that my Kepian or Epitrine can kill the conjure. And now I can, be able to, not have to worry about War Beast as much. That's just one particular combo where that really is handy. And because he's got pretty good stats and he has water innately, I give him the Sun Chariot Kinstep so that then he can also still be a fighter too. So just in case, to be able to, help, just make sure he stays alive. But on that note, he's a really good support unit in my opinion in that sense because he's able to just move everything around one extra time. And then finally, all the way in the back, I have my favorite fluid morpher, good old Knockburn. Now, Knockburn, he's more of a combo, or rather fighter guy. Knockburn is really meant to be up in the front, in people's faces. He's got fire and water innately. He's got pretty good stats all around. Fluid morph, obviously, because, well, he's going to be able to gain music counters off of all the water attacks. All of his attacks count as fire and water just inherently. So even if like you're playing an attack that doesn't do anything or doesn't have any elements, it's a fire and water attack now, which means, oh, hey, you did damage with it, cool, you get a music counter. Likewise, everybody has water, so he's just going to be able to keep gaining more and more water, more and more food, music counters and everything, and it just works really well. On top of that, if he does die, he respawns himself if he's got exactly 3 music counters. It doesn't happen too often, but I feel like Knockburn just makes a really good last minute, just in case, because I don't like having a Muge that can't handle itself in battle, and that's unfortunately how most Muges are. So Fluid Morpher, good old Knockburn, is able to handle himself in battle just in case everybody else dies and I still have a chance to come out alive. Now, because he is a Fluid Morpher, I gave him Heptad's Crown, so that now he can use every music from every tribe. There's mainly only really the overworld music that I want to use, because, well, overworld music is pretty good. So I wanted to be able to use that, and in order to do so, it needed Heptad's Crown. You can also play Muge's Tuning Fork, but I don't like that as much, because if he does end up being the last guy alive, he's not going to be able to do anything other than music. Marillion and generic music. So I digress. Now, that brings us to how the battle board looks all together. We, of course, have Tangif up front, Kepian, Epitrine, Chromax, Fell 4, Knockburn, with their respective battle gear and everything. This is the setup I've chose. You can obviously change things around. If you want to put Tangif in the middle, you totally can. That was something else I was considering. The only issue I have with that is that if you're going second, Tangif can only defend Kepian and Chromax. He can't defend Epitrine, or if you put him over where Velfor is, he can only defend Chromax or Epitrine, not Kepian. So it's really going to be an interesting thing, and that's why I put Tangif up front rather than in the middle, so that now you can block everybody. And if your opponent has like something that has range, so that they can jump over to Felf, or Tangif can block that as well. So just really, really handy for having Tangif in the middle to be able to protect everybody. The only one he can't protect is Knockburn, but hopefully Knockburn can't get attacked. That would be kind of sad if he could, so hopefully Tangif will be able to protect him. Otherwise, you can also switch other things around. Like if you don't want Epitrine up front, you could totally put Chromax up front. It's really down to what you want to do and how you personally prefer it to be. Me personally though, I like to have a tank in the middle just in case to protect my Fluid Morpher or my Muge. That's just how I've always kind of been with this. So, and also, I mean, we honestly got 3 tanks up front, a tank over here, support unit, Muge. That's really how I see it. It just works. And this deck has been a blast to play on Recode. I'm gonna get plenty of recordings of Recode and finally talk about Recode here shortly to y'all as well, because I know people have been asking me to talk about Recode and what my thoughts are on it. So yeah, we will be doing that, don't worry. Now then, next up is the attacks. First and foremost, we got our heavy hitter, Fire Ram. Fire Ram is the main star of the attack deck in terms of this is going to be the big damage dealer. It's got 10 base, 10 fire, stat check, power 60, deal 10 damage. Everybody except, I think, my Knockburn. Oh wait, no, even Knockburn makes the power check. Yeah, everybody makes the power check except for, actually, yeah, everybody except for Epitrine. Everybody except for Epitrine makes that power check. That means that this is a 30 damage attack that pretty much everybody in the deck can do. Now before you go, oh, well, Chromax can't do it, I do have a solution to that, and that is Flame Breach. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it now. Flame Breach, it does no damage, but it gives your creature fire, and it combos really well with Incinerate as well, just in case you do have to use it, so you can do some big damage, and then, oh, actually Flame Breach to be able to gain fire. It's just really, really handy for being able to get that fire, also in case like the Sun Chariots get destroyed. So I like having a backup plan for getting fire back just in case. Next up, we got Torrent of Flame. Torrent of Flame is a 2-drop that does 10 fire, 10 water. No effects, so there's not really much else to really say about it, but hey, 20 damage, possibly even 25 if like good old Tangif with his Fire 5 is pretty darn good there as well. Then we got 2 Riptide. Riptide is a 1-drop, 5 base, 5 water. It also drops your opponent's courage by 25 if you have water. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but if you're playing against a stat check deck, they're gonna get screwed over by that. 2 Consuming Flame, 1-drop that does 15 damage. Why would you not play it? Same thing with good old Flood Force. 1-drop that does 15 damage. It's a free 15 damage basically, so yeah. Next up, I got 2 Coral Balls. Now this card, I was debating between it and Geyser Gush. Now Geyser Gush, these two will have the same damage cap at 15, but Geyser Gush does 5 base, actually no base, 5 earth, 5 water, and then a stat check for 50 for 5 damage, which is cool and all. But Coral Balls does 0 base, 5 water, and then if your creature has Defender, it does 10 damage. And guess who's our main guy who's going to be fighting? He's got Defender. So yeah, even if like you have to attack with Tangif, he's still got Defender innately. That's not something that like he doesn't have anymore if like your other guys die. So he will be able to dish out 15 damage with it. It's not too great with your other creatures, but neither was a Geyser Gush. So this card just works out a bit better as well. Next up, I got 2 Outfreeze. This card, I was kind of tied between this and Mineral Mayhem. But at the end of the day, I decided to go with this over Mineral Mayhem because my whole reason for playing Mineral Mayhem is that it's been ingrained in me to play Mineral Mayhem to deal with Lord Von Bloot, Servant of Ayin. But then I remembered, oh, he's banned. I don't have to worry about him for the most part. But however, I still like to be able to gain 100 wisdom or 100 in a stat just in case, because Gontrok is still a thing, and you also want to be able to, you know, further make those stat checks and everything. Well, not really so much with this deck, but like just being able to prevent your opponent from doing stat challenges and all that. And Outfreeze helps out with that quite a bit. That, and also you can actually do damage with it. There was a lot of times when I was playing Mineral Mayhem where I just could not do any damage with it because, well, it does earth damage, and everybody except for Chromax does not have earth in this deck. So I wanted to pick one that actually was able to let me do damage, and Outfreeze was that. 5 base, 5 water. You can have it choose to do no damage to instead increase your creature's wisdom by 100, which does come in handy in certain circumstances. Next up, we got 2 of the Question Swirl. And does 0 base but 10 water, and you lose water until the end of the turn. Big whoop! It's not that worst of the world. It's not the worst thing in the world, and you get it back in the next turn. Typically, I use this as well as also Incinerate as the finishing attacks, because Incinerate does the same thing except it's fire, does 0 damage, does 10 fire, and then you lose fire until the end of the turn. So the idea is that they're finishing kill attacks. That being said though, because Incinerate, and because we are playing Flame Breach, we are able to get away with using Incinerate sometimes. So like early on, because you can use Incinerate, do to 10 damage, use Flame Breach to give you back the fire, and then keep on doing more damage. That does take a few, that does waste a turn basically though, so you got to be careful about that, be smart about it. You know, just kind of be smart about how you play your cards, and you should be able to do it just fine. Now then, moving on to the locations. First and foremost, we got the North Range. The North Range does Initiative, Courage, and then when this card becomes the active location, you choose a tribe. All creatures also count as that tribe. And then it's a Mirage where whenever it's the Mirage location on the battle board, whoever's in the spot is treated as all tribes. So for being a deck that we want to have as many tribes as possible in, this is really, really handy because, well, oh no, my Kepian died. Okay, this flips over. Okay, I choose Danian, and now I got all Danians as well. So everybody's also a Danian, so now I still have the Danian bonus for Tangif, and so on and so forth. So just really handy with that. Next up, we got Gorham's Briefing. Initiative is Courage. And at the beginning of combat, engaged creatures gain 5 energy and 5 to all disciplines for each tribe that they have. So, oh hey, we're playing 5 different tribes. Cool. We get 25 energy on top of 25 to all disciplines. Okay, that is ridiculous, especially when paired with Tangif and Kepian, because Tangif will jump up to, let's see here, provided, depending on what your opponent's got with like the elemental proof, like let's say you're going against a Heptad. Okay, so Tangif jumps up by 20, and then he gets 25 more, so now he's at 45 plus energy. So yeah, that's 110 energy for Tangif. And it's an easy like 120 energy for Kepian. So very, very good card for this deck and what it wants to do. Next up, we got 2 Lures Chamber of Recall. The biggest thing with this card is that when it becomes the active location, it removes all cards in the general discard piles. That goes for Battle Gear, Music, Creatures. Creatures is a big window. There's a lot of decks out there that like to be able to bring back their creatures, most notably Danian Compost, and of course Underworld decks with their Song of Revival. So this gets flipped over and it can just totally screw them over. You don't really care about it too much in this deck because there's no revival and there's no way to recur, Music and all that. Same thing with Battle Gear as well in this deck. There's just no way to bring any of that back. You can make an argument that, oh, good old Knockburn, but Knockburn will always die in battle right then and there, and since this only removes all the cards from the graveyard whenever it becomes activated, you don't have to worry about Knockburn getting banished either. Sorry if I use Yu-Gi-Oh terminology too, it's just more innate to me. Next up, we got 2 Riverlands, Abandoned Waste. Initiative is Fused Elements. And then when Riverlands becomes the active location, each player shuffles their attack hand into their attack deck and draws 2 new cards. This card, along with Vidav's Reflectorium, is our 2 main cycling cards. Vidav's Reflectorium does basically the same thing, except you draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards. The big thing is that we need ways to cycle through our attacks to be able to get to fire ram faster and do big damage, or well, the other damaging attacks. So if you don't need Flame Breach, okay, cool. Oh hey, Vidav's Reflectorium just got flipped over. Okay, I'm gonna get to draw 2, discard 2, and I'll discard one of my Flame Breaches. You know, stuff like that. So these two just really help with cycling. Instead of Knockburn, you could also play Flagomp, if I remember right. I've thought about playing him, but Flagomp I just didn't see much of a point to, because well, yes, you get to move around locations a bit. There is that point to it, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it would be as helpful. And maybe there is a point to playing Flagomp, but however, that is just something I want to point out as well. Now then, we have our Mujiks. First and foremost, we got Jig of Reinforcement. It has to be here. This was part of the criteria for the deck and everything. And Jig is a pretty good Mujik too. It's a 1-cost, good old generic Mujik. Target creature gains 10 energy if it's an overroller, fire 5 if it's a underroller, 20 to all disciplines if it's a Danian, and invisibility strike 10 if it's a Mepedian, which is really, really handy. Next up, we got Otis Opposed. This is a generic Mujik. Heal target creature by 5 energy for each tribe you control. We got 5, so that's a 25 healer. That's insane. The only thing I can think of that comes even close to that is freaking Carnivore's Keening, but that also that gives you 30 energy. That also gives you Recklessness 10. So Otis Opposed, it's really good for this deck. Next up, we got Cadence Clash. Yeah, I know it's banned, and I don't really care whenever it comes to my IRL stuff. It's a Mujik cost, a generic Mujik. If you want, you can totally play instead of it another Jig. Either way, it just doesn't really matter. It's a negation. Next up, we got one Rhyme of Recklessness. Sorry, Rhyme of the Reckless. You basically just make it to where your opponent's attack does damage to itself, which is hilarious. And then finally, we got 2 Reframe of Denial for more Mujik negation. It just is a literal, just straight up Mujik negation to be able to, you know, negate Mujik. What else do I say? So yeah, this is like the troll card. Honestly, if you really want to adhere to the ban list, I would definitely recommend maybe switching out for another Rhyme of the Reckless or for something else. I try to keep it in mind, but I do forget sometimes about some stuff. And Cadence Clash, I don't feel like it should be banned. I feel like it should be like at one of, but I don't know if they want to do a limit thing either, so that's down to them. But yeah, that's the deck. I really like this deck quite a bit. I have been having a lot of fun with it, and I can't wait to mess around with this more for the Bareth Beyond build as well, because I really want to play my favorite general, Bareth Beyond. He's just so cool. So I know I'm gonna get some flack for that because Tangif is better, but like Tangif is cool too. Like I don't know. Anyways, guys, thank y'all for watching. Have a great day. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. See y'all later. Peace out. And hey, rate, comment, and subscribe. Bye. Hey, everybody. I know this is not my usual outro, but I just had to say thank you all. I was genuinely expecting a much more negative response to the video that I did last week, and you guys have been so positive, and I cannot thank you enough. You know, between all the comments and everything, people offering their advice, their support, I even got some people even sent me $5. Thank you all. I don't know how I can express my gratitude enough to you all. The only way I can think of is really to pump up the video count that I've been doing. I know I've barely been uploading, and I want to fix that. That goes across all my channels. It's really hard to record whenever you have work and then you have family at home and they all make noise and all that, but I'm going to strive to do better, not just with YouTube, but with my life in general. You know, once I get my issues fixed, I'll be able to start looking forward into the future rather than worrying about my past and my current issues. And I honestly cannot thank you all enough for helping me with that. if you're wondering where things are with it, I have about half of it paid off now. It's just under a half. And I feel like if I can sell everything that I have left on eBay, as well as also the 5 or 6 or so of my biggest figures, I will be able to pay it all off and be a better person moving forward once that's done. So, keep an eye on my eBay for anything else if you guys are interested in. This was a commission video for a fan. I mentioned his name, Samuel Dion, at the beginning of the video. And if anybody else is interested in commissioning a video, it can be anything. I will try my best to be able to do it. I got my email not just on the end screen here, but also down below. I never thought about doing commission videos before. It's not something I've seen people do, so I never thought about it. I really want to also start writing again. I've mentioned it in the past, but I used to be a big writer in terms of I just write. I love writing. I've always wanted to be an author, but that never went anywhere, so I've thought about maybe doing writing stuff, or maybe, like, I don't know, putting my teaching skills to use to help people. I don't know. I'm weighing a bunch of different ideas and everything, but guys, you all are awesome. Thank you. I cannot thank you enough. I don't know what else to say here, other than I hope that you look forward to the next video. I'm hoping to try and get it up from like one every 2 months to one a week. I got a bunch of ideas for videos coming up, and I'm going to be asking somebody to come onto the Chaotic Cast, and if he agrees, it's going to be really, really, really cool. So, yeah, guys, thank you all for watching the video. Have a great day. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And by the way, fun fact, this is going, provided it goes out today on the 21st, it's going out the day before my birthday, on the 22nd. I wanted to do streams and stuff for my birthday, but I couldn't get it. No time. So I'm hoping to do streams though, now that Recode is up and everything. I'm gonna get some videos on Recode. I hope you guys are looking forward to everything. We are going to really be ramping up the production on videos and everything, so I hope you're all looking forward to it. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day. Peace out. Rate, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and be safe out there.